most people find it challenging to compete as a small business under any economic circumstances. But I believe you guys will agree that during tough times, it's even more in a crowded marketplace. Here's the deal. In a declining economy, it's no longer competition in your given industry. You guys agree? It's competition for your eyes, your ears, your hearts, and your minds, and your pocketbook. Because when it comes down to it, everybody's competing for the same discretionary dollars. So what has to happen is growth. We are in a recession, hopefully coming out of a recession, which is a good thing. I think we're on the tail end. But the most important time to continue to market yourself is during slower times. Not only does it fortify your position during the slower times and increase market share, when you come out of it, what happens? You increase it, in this case, by 275% for those people that keep marketing. Fine, I've created what they call the value scale. What the value scale is that when it comes to price, quality, service, convenience, what we call the shopping criteria, you cannot be all things. You have to pick and choose. Even Alex Partner's Consumer Sentiment Index study says you can't be all things to all people. You need to pick and choose a couple for which to excel and be just good enough at the difference to be successful. You've got to get the heart. Do people make their decisions from the mind, or do they make it from the heart? They make it from the heart. David Kalmany, a respected neurologist, says people make emotional decisions, but they justify them with the head. And what he says, that moment of truth comes when it comes time to pick up the phone, to call who you're going to call, where you're going to visit, what product you're going to pull off that shelf. It's the one that's captured your emotion, the one that's captured your heart, that you're going to stay with. Thinking, shopping, buying local. It's a movement. So what is the definition of a movement? A movement is when you have gravity pulling everybody together and all in the same direction. And if we're talking about the movement, does anybody here remember the movie Network? What do they say in that? Remember, there's a very famous line. I'm mad as hell.
No, I'm
not going to take it anymore. I think that's what's happened here. This has exceeded all of our expectations, but people are being tired of being rolled over by some of the nationals just coming in and barreling in with price and selection. We're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore. That's what it's all about. So thinking, shopping, and I think the key word here, as Nancy mentioned, is the word think. What does think do? Think implants that mind, that desire, that builds that equity position that you've got to think first. It's the first step of the buying cycle. What we want to make sure that everybody understands is the think local is a great value proposition. It really is just an outstanding. But the key thing, that is the feature. What are the benefits to the consumer? Consumers don't really care. This has got to be more than just an obligation. You guys agree with that? It's got to be an opportunity. What's everybody's favorite radio station, WIFM? What's in it for me? It's got to be what's in it for me. But if you talk about what's in it for me, if we look at, let's try here, okay. Is this that first page, Chris? If you look at what's in it for me, every unique selling proposition has to have what we call a unique buying advantage. Has got to be in that person. It's got to be worthwhile. And we're talking about saving jobs in the community. West, we're talking about the 45 cents of every dollar. But we're also talking about, can anybody else provide a customer experience like our local merchants? No. Anybody going to stand behind our products and services like our local merchants? No. We still provide value. And by the way, when it comes to value, the three most important axioms in real estate are location, location, location. In our business today, it's value, value, value. But I think you'll agree it's much more than just price, right? You know, back in the old days, when it came to marketing, it was all about informing, persuading, and reminding. That's no longer good enough. Now it's about connecting, engaging, and educating. People are far more skeptical now. So we've got a listing that you can actually keep them engaged on the website. Once they go there, they can actually connect to the other individual's website. You know, one of the things that we talk about is the fact that when it comes to being local, one of the advantages that local companies do, and by the way, when I say local companies, I don't want to discount national companies who have a local presence, who give back to the community, who are a part of the community. This is not just the national. Anybody that gives back and is a part of it. For example, Mark Smith that owns Midas of Richmond is a local franchisee for a national company. Target actually has Target gives back to the local community too as well. So we want to make sure we're emphasizing this is all about community involvement, not just the name and a national name. When you think about local, and if you're going to be putting the decal up there, it's all about us. It's all about the marketing, the PR, the languaging, the managing the conversation. As you saw the picture of me, remember that one without my hat? What are the benefits? What are the benefits of being local? And that's what you really want to talk about it to make sure that the customers understand why they should be shopping there.
After we say, okay, here's this great big gorgeous blue and green logo, it's not a cure-all. It's not a panacea. We can't slap it on our front doors and think that the consumer is going to immediately understand. As retailers, we've all got to jump on board, get engaged, come up with really clever and creative ways to use it. When you go onto the website, you'll download the logo. You can use it in pretty much anything, like we said. And we are also going to be, and I'm not sure if this is up yet, we're going to be able to download an 8.5 by 11 talking point sheet that you can use in your stores. You can put it in a frame, put it on your front counter, put it on your doors, use it as a bag insert or a care package insert for your customers. Have your delivery teams hand it to customers at the end of the transaction. So there are going to be lots of ways for all of us to be engaged. We need to all be really prepared for the naysayers. After Lewis's first article went out on June 11th, I sat at home and watched the comments come up one after another on the Richmond Times-Dispatch page until Lewis finally emailed me and said, stop, I can't even talk about it, stop replying to them. He said, it's going to make you crazy. There are people out there who will tell you to your face, you know, I come into your store, I try out your product, I try on the clothes that you sell, I try on your shoes, and then I go home and I buy them online for less. They're there, they exist. What we need to be prepared to do is know how to talk to the people who do believe. We're not just talking about tax dollars. We are not just talking about corporate giving. It's the whole big pile of everything. It's 45 cents of every dollar you spend on average is staying right here in the community when you shop in any local merchant. If you drop that down to a website merchant, the most you're going to spend, put back to your community, is about 15 cents, and most of that's going for gas, some transportation taxes, things like that. Every day we need to say thank you to our customers, and we need to say it to their faces, and it's the easiest thing to teach our sales team to do. We don't have to give them gifts, we don't have to do anything over the top, but if you look across the counter at a customer when they finish a transaction, you just say, by the way, I just want to say thank you for shopping locally, they're going to realize that what they're doing and the decision they made to come into your store that day and your place of business really does make a difference in the community.
When I see the headlines, Think, Shop, Buy, I started to think about the hard-working men and women who are behind business. And just exactly what does this community think about all of us in the room who every day advance business? What do we think about? What exactly is it beyond the commercial transition? When you shop, do people actually understand that they are circulating dollars to the benefit of the hometown? Do we actually understand how important that is? And when we buy, particularly during a lingering recession, do we understand that that is the best economic stimulus that anybody could ever have? Jobs. So when you talk about this think, shop, and buy, it's an amazing, amazing metaphor. More importantly, local businesses give back. That is the unplayed story in this town. You look at the number of community groups that are helped, financed, supported by local businesses is unbelievable. Start showing them. You go on there from collecting coats to collecting blood, to giving copiers, to offering a chance for artists to sell their work, to supporting every nonprofit in this area. Yeah, the big corporations get a lot of the press, but it's the small groups that actually power our businesses. Midas, as an example, actually customizes its local website information primarily based on community givebacks, so that's sensitive to the importance of that. It is an unbelievable story, and you all should be rewarded for that. That is a subplot of this shop, buy, local, and you should be thanked repeatedly for that, because without you, there's no nonprofit in this town, so thank you. Local businesses have humble beginnings. I don't know how many times I read or talked to people who started in one rooms. It's almost like a school. One rooms. They started in the basement. They started in an attic. They started in garages. Amazing stories. One of the things I discovered was Jack Kruder, who owns a well-known jewelry store in town over here, was asked by an industry publication, and I'll end with this, that what should President Obama do to stimulate the economy? And what was his answer? He said, Mr. President, buy something in my store. Well, I've got something better. Mr. President, come to Richmond and buy in everybody's store. That's stimulus. Thank you.